What's up, Shay Base? It's your girl Simply Shay here with yet another video. So without further ado, let's go. Y'all, I must tell you, I am very excited for this video simply because this is my first requested topic. I am super over the moon. First requested topic since I started this in September, and the topic is communication. And I know I touched a little bit on this in my Ladies Corner video last week. If you haven't checked that one out, make sure you go back and check it out. But I was more so dealing with kind of talking about, telling all of your business and your information going on in relationship with other people and all that jazz. And so this person just kind of wanted me to talk about communicating in relationships and friendships and with your parents and siblings and just different things like that. And so one thing that I have learned when it comes to communication is that the most important part is to take yourself out of it. You can't effectively communicate with someone if your mindset is to argue. If you aren't listening to hear and not listening to respond. If you go into it listening to respond, if you go into it listening to have something to say back, if you go into it listening thinking, oh no, because she got an attitude and I'm about to give it to her. Oh no, because he got me messed up. If you go into it with that type of mindset, 9 times out of 10, that's how the conversation is going to go. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be a communication or a conversation that ends well, that ends with any type of accomplishment. Just starting off with relationships, one thing we have to know and understand in relationships, and I say it all the time, if you are looking out for him and he's looking out for you, both of you guys are covered. So you have to understand that when you go into conversation, especially conversation about problems, it's not you versus him, it's not you versus her, it's you both versus the problem. It's both of you all versus the lack of communication, versus the lack of time spent, versus the aggravation, versus the attitude, versus the laziness, versus the, whatever the problem you're having, it's you two versus the problem. And it's not even just in relationships. That's in every type of relationship that you have, not in just in romantic ones. It's always, you have to think about it. It is you versus the problem, not you versus the person. It's you versus the problem. One thing that one way we mess up in relationships when it comes to communication is we always want to say our piece and not want to hear what the other person has to say. Or we get on our minds, well, I already know she this way, so she gonna respond this way when I say this. Or I already know he do this, so when I say this, he gonna say this. Well, if you already know he has a problem with you speaking a certain type of way, he has a problem receiving this, she has a problem receiving certain things when you say them a certain way, why do you do it? Like, why do you do it? And please don't get me wrong, because I hate people that say, well, that's just the way that I am, because at the end of the day, baby, you're going to change for who you want to change for. But I can speak for myself. I know one of the reasons why I shut down, and I've shared this with you guys several times, when it came to especially like relationships and conversations that I didn't feel were going to go to a good place, was simply because previously in the past, both in actual romantic relationships and friendships, just different situations with people, every time I tried to speak about something that bothered me, every time I tried to give my 2 cents on something that I was excited about, I was always shut down. I was always made to feel like what I had to say didn't matter. Like the person just didn't care enough to hear what I had to say. And that was something that bothered me. It was something that hurt me. It was something that, really just made me feel some type of way. And so my mind always was, just go ahead and shut down because they're not going to listen to you anyway. Just go ahead. Don't even waste your breath because they're not going to listen to you anyway. And it was the same way even when it came to a lot of times I didn't receive the slightest raise of voice, because again, I had been in situations in past relationships and just different things where people talked to me, the person, talked to me very aggressively. They told me shut up and just different things like that. And for a very long time, I can remember I could not handle when somebody told me to shut up. Like, I just couldn't handle it. And it took for me to have to heal and deal with that, but also to be able to share and articulate with the person that I was communicating with, hey, I really don't like being told to shut up. Hey, can you please refrain from, you know what I mean? Please don't do that. And not everybody received it. Some people thought it was silly. Some people, oh girl, you know, whatever, brushed it off. But they didn't know and understand the experience that I had had with someone treating me that way, with someone talking to me that way and meaning it in an aggressive way. You know, because it was even when, girl, shut up, like those things. I couldn't even, you know, handle those things. And sometimes we have to stop to think, not even just in relationships, but any type of, you know, friendship or whatever. Well, why is it that they respond this way when we're in this situation? Well, what is it about what I am doing? What can I do to help our communication get better? How can I speak to her differently? How can I speak to him differently? How can I communicate a little bit better to be able to make sure that our dialect is a positive one, is one that's going to build our relationship, build up our relationship, and not tear it down? But a lot of us are too prideful. A lot of us are too prideful. We're too caught up in, you know what, I'm right and I'm going to be right. Well, that's great. You're going to be right and single. Like, you're going to be right and lonely. Like, you're going to be right and not have any successful relationships. Right and bitter. Like, is it really that important to be right? Hey, ding, 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 sometimes you may think that you're right. Listen, there are times, you know what I mean, where I really thought I was right about a situation and people really had to, you know what I mean, bring me down, and I was like, dang, you right. I was wrong. It's one thing about being wrong, but when you loud and wrong, that's really embarrassing. And a lot of us are loud and wrong. We're loud and wrong. Whether it's in the situation or in the way that we're communicating the situation. So it's important when it comes to communicating with each other that we understand, again, that it is not you versus the person. It is you both versus the problem. Friendships, romantic relationships, parent to child, child to parent, you know, cousins, aunts, brothers, sisters, siblings. It's you both versus the problem. Hey, I'm coming to you woman to woman. I'm coming to you man to man. I love you enough to talk to you about this, so let's sit down and effectively communicate with each other. Let's not curse, let's not yell, let's not scream, let's not do any of those things. Let's effectively communicate with each other. Let's figure out what that looks like for us, because for every relationship it's going to be a little bit different. I have some friends that I have to get like this for them really to listen to me. Listen, sis, I need you to hear me because right now you're wrong. Other people are, girl, yeah, and man, listen, let me tell you, like, it's different dynamics. For some people, it's different seasons. Sometimes I have to talk like this to them, and other times I can talk like this. Hey, girl, yeah, and listen, you just have to understand that it's this. You know, you have to be able to put yourself aside and adjust to the person that you're speaking to the person that you're communicating with, if the relationship, the friendship, the whatever, isn't that important. If it's important enough. What a lot of us don't realize is the reason why you can't effectively communicate with someone is simply because you were never taught to. The reason why you can't differentiate between the different emotions that you're feeling and the way you're feeling, man, I can't put it into words, is because you were never taught to. Especially men. It was always big boys don't cry. Man up. Man, you acting like a punk. You ain't emotional. You know what I'm saying? You man up. You a man. You can't cry. What? You depressed. Man, men don't do that. You got to provide. You got to be this. You got to be hard. And you become the shell of who God called you to be. You become a walking, living, breathing shell. That's all hard on the outside. You knock on it and it's rock hard. But on the inside, if you blow in it, it'd be hollow. Because you were never taught that what you felt, what you had to say, what hurt you mattered. You never taught that it mattered. You always taught it was about how strong you were and how built you were and how many abs you had and how your hair looked and the amount of waves that you had and the swag that you had and how many girls you can pull. But no one ever told you that who you were on the inside mattered. No one ever told you that how you felt on the inside mattered. So for a lot of us, men and women, but especially my men, when we have women, when we have people that come, when we have, men that comes in our lives that genuinely want to communicate with you, genuinely care about hearing about your day, genuinely care about hearing about this and about that, we don't know how to receive it. We lock up. We lock up. We can't express how we feel because we don't know. We can't effectively communicate with our brother, with our sister, with our mom, girlfriend, husband, wife. We can't effectively communicate with those people because we can't effectively communicate with ourselves. We haven't even learned to understand the language that we speak. We haven't even learned to understand the language that we speak. This is why I suggest counseling to everyone. That's what I want to do. I want to open my own Christian counseling center. That's a part of my purpose. But I suggest it to everyone because sometimes we need a little extra push. We need a little extra help. Someone who can, and my reasoning is it's someone who can give you the spiritual side, or at least understands the spiritual side, but also understands the physical and the mental, understands how to help you work through the way your childhood affected you as an adult, the way your childhood affected your communication, the way your childhood affected your capacity to be able to love someone completely, to be able to even love yourself completely, communicate effectively with yourself. To be able to say, hey, Shay, right now you are feeling down because, hey, Shay, the emotion that you're feeling, you're not angry. Really what it is that you're hurt. Hey, Shay, what it is, you have to be able to get to that part if you want to be able to effectively communicate with someone else, because communicating as the shell of yourself now, all that you're communicating is the hurt boy that was told to be quiet and that it was going to be okay to just get over it. The hurt young little girl that was told nobody really cared anyway to just keep her mouth shut. The hurt child that's crying out just to be heard, that's lashing out because they've never had the opportunity to deal with the hurt. They never had the opportunity to be taught how to deal with their emotions. They were always told to be quiet. They were always told to stay in a child's place. They were always told, you're a child, you can't be depressed. You don't have an opinion. I'm the parent. You don't have an opinion. Girl, that ain't hurt. Girl, that didn't do this. Boy, that ain't happened. The reason why so many of us cannot effectively communicate as adults is because we were not taught how to deal with our emotions as children. We were not given the opportunity. We were not given the space. We were not given the tools, guidelines to be able to effectively communicate our emotions as a child. And it's not just us, because guess what? Your parents are the same way. Their parents, the same way. As generational curses. That is one thing that I declare and decree over myself and my siblings all the time, that we will be the generation that breaks the generational curses. That we will not follow in the same, mistakes and the same path that our family, our parents' parents, and their aunts and uncles, and, all these people that we continue to watch them do. I will teach my children how to deal with their emotions. But guess what? First, I have to figure out how to do it first. I will teach my children how to be in a healthy, committed relationship. But first, I have to teach myself. I will teach my children how to effectively communicate both with me as their parent, but also with other people, with their brothers, with their sisters, with their cousins, their significant others, their friends. But first, I have to be able to do it. Being able to effectively communicate with someone else first starts with being able to effectively communicate and be honest with yourself. It starts within. It starts with you. You can't be around here lying to yourself about who you are, how you feel, or anything like that. Walking around being a hollow shell and expect to be able to have healthy relationships with the people around you, effectively being able to communicate with them. It just won't work. It just won't work. So I hope that this video encouraged you guys. Listen, I was really excited when I got this request. So if you guys have any requests on topics you want me to expand on, even if it's something I've already spoken about, let me know. Let your girl know. Listen, I'm always open. I hope that you all have a great rest of your week and happy holidays. Remember, continue to grow and glow. Bye.